All right. Monologue for us.
Oh my God. We're in the Twilight Zone. I'm crazy. We're all crazy. The
Wow.
whole world's crazy.
Wow.
This is secondary education.
Oh my God. That was pretty fucking crazy.
How's the Twilight Zone theme go? I don't remember.
Ooh. Yeah. This
like wolves.
This is it. We're back, and this is pretty much the first episode ever because we never released the actual first episode. So this is a very exalted reimagining. That's also the beginning. This is a great thing to.
Yeah, we're here. We've reconvened. We had a podcast. We didn't release it. Now we're back. Under these sad auspices of these times.
I don't think anything's that sad. Well, I think that you are saying something that I don't even know if I believe, because I've accepted it. I've accepted what's been going on.
I'm saddened
so
by
sad.
it. I'm saddened.
so
Yeah,
sad.
I'll join Will's camp on that one. I'm saddened by it because I love this man. I still love this man, but it makes me sad to like see him in this state. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I think I'm in denial. I think when I say I'm in acceptance, that's my like first, like my first instinct to be like, I'm okay, this is fine, like, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's not okay.
Before we go too deep, let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah, sure.
My name
And the
is
man
Will.
who we're talking about.
My name is Will, and I'm very sad.
I'm a very sad.
Look,
I'm a very sad.
look, you're like the fucking happiest person I know, and now you're a very sad. Jesus. Okay, Josh.
I'm very sad, man.
Josh,
Yeah, he's a very sad. I'm Josh. I'm okay. I'm also a very sad, but at the same time, I'm living through it. I just had some duck. Yeah.
Peking
Mid
duck?
Nah, like American rotisserie duck. It was okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Dude, I had duck for the first time at a tapas restaurant, like a Spanish. And it
Okay.
was cold. I had cold duck,
Okay.
on like a piece of bread. It was delicious. I loved
Yeah, that sounds good. They didn't even give us any bread. It was just all duck. Like duck breast and thigh and like duck like jus and like no grains to eat it with. Like there was like a warm salad.
duck jus.
That's
Yeah,
how
the
I
jus.
prefer my duck, Josh. That's exactly how I prefer it.
Americans. These
I like it.
Americans.
I just want to you just scarf it down,
That's insane to me. No, the Chinese people eat duck with pancakes and spring onions and cucumber. Yeah, that's how I would do it.
That's fine.
Personally.
You could add some accoutrement, but at the end of the day, the bird is the bird.
This is not a duck podcast. We can Amar, introduce yourself.
My name is Amar. I'm in Brooklyn. Will's coming here next week, and this room that you see, this room that you see behind me, Will and I are gonna be staying in this fucking room for 2.5 days together.
Couple days.
It's gonna be great. It's
couple nights.
Nice.
My introduction is as follows, because I was a pre-introduction. I want to talk about Kanye, or the artist formerly known as Kanye, with my besties. That's what I want to do. I want to just do that. That's my intro,
Well, just to give some context, in a way, we really became friends throughout our love for Yeezy, and just the many changes that he made in our lives, and the fact that we were able to pal around together, and just really appreciate, like, we were into something that was like a little bit different for the time, for our place of, from where we grew up. So it is someone, Yeezy's someone who meant a lot to me growing up, to all of us, and that guy's dead. That guy's dead now. He's the guy
Wow.
that's left is a Nazi.
You
So
just killed Kanye?
I didn't do it. He did it.
Oh
I
my,
wanna-
Or Netin did it.
that's crazy.
But it's done.
That's
I
crazy.
wanna pause on that point for a second. Do you think that Kanye Nazi? Do you like see him as a Nazi in your head? Do you think of him as a Nazi? He said he was a Nazi yesterday.
He did say, "I am a Nazi." Now what? Now what,
Nazis.
Ari Emanuel?
Yeah, right.
Do I
But do you think of him as he also denied the Holocaust, right? He denied the 6 million, right? That's some like Nick
Yeah.
Fuentes math, right? He
Yeah.
like was talking about like how long it takes to bake the cookies and shit, like he did the Holocaust math and he was like, that doesn't add up to me. Does he come off to you like when you think of Kanye, do you think of him as like an odious anti-Semite who like is a Holocaust denier and a
At this point, yeah. I mean, he is without a doubt, a Nazi sympathizer. I think that's pretty hard to argue against. And that would be enough in itself. I don't know if he would be a Nazi apologist, but the only reason I'm not sure about that is because I'm not sure if Kanye thinks the Nazis should apologize.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So I think that this is like two-pronged. One, like Josh, you're saying, do you think he is one, right? And it's like one where like we have this conception that like these guys were like walking around like during the Third Reich, like that's like when you think of a Nazi, you're like, okay, like some dude who lost World War II that was wearing like an SS uniform. But then there's like a very real undercurrent of like current Nazis and people that are Nazis now, because like they love that shit. And then they were like, okay, these guys weren't actually the bad guys, and they were actually really good. And what they stood for was good, and what they did was good, and it was also overblown. At the worst, it was overblown. Like that's like what they say, right? Um, and so I would qualify a person who says all that, yes, as a Nazi. And right now, it's like this weird battle of dissonance between like hearing this guy talk, like knowing like that he can always run his mouth. He's been running his mouth since we were like 9 years old, like next to like Austin Powers. And now it's like that same guy you're asking, do you really think he is that? And so I think what you're running up against, what I often run up against is like the person that I like would see on TV and like hear his music and like conflating him with like kind of like the worst type of human, right? That we kind of have, which is like normally what we would
prototype for like an evil
yeah,
human.
yeah. So when you ask that question, is he the worst person on or one of the worst people on earth, right? A part of the group that conveys that. And what Will is saying is yes. And so that I'm afraid to say it. I'm afraid to say it. Because I will be like, that shit is so fucked up and you're the fucking worst. But I'm even still like it's almost hard for me because of the love that I had for him in this moment also to be like, he's the fucking worst. He's one of the worst fucking people now. And it's because he's so baffling because he just says all this weird shit right after he starts saying all that. Like he starts like doing this thing, and I don't know, Will, maybe you want to kind of like get into this because I know one, I was listening to the last interview. I've been watching it like a lot of the stuff that he's been doing lately, but like only like in spurts and just like random stuff. But I know you watched the whole episode last night. It's you can go bar for bar with him, like you've been able to do your whole life, bar for bar with Ye. But I just want you to talk about that because I think that's so crazy. Like what happened last night or a night ago?
Well, when the cold open there, the Twilight Zone thing, that's actually a direct quote from Alex Jones.
Right.
Because routinely throughout the interview, Alex Jones feels awkward and out of place. Kanye's saying things that are so ludicrous that he's like, listen, like Alex Jones will go in, I don't think you should be compared to Hitler. You haven't hurt anybody. You're not like that. We defeated the Nazis in World War II. You shouldn't be compared to that. And then Kanye goes, no, I don't know. I like Hitler. I like him. You know, there's a lot I like about Hitler. A lot of things. And then Alex Jones goes, oh my God. Oh my God.
Basically,
and for that guy, the guy who just got another guy who lost more than $1 billion in the last few months, you know, because of the Sandy Hook stuff.
And he's looking like,
and he's like, oh shit, this guy is a little bit beyond the pale. You know, that is like absurd. It really, you know, like personally, I guess I don't think Kanye is really like he really, really hates everyone like a Nazi would necessarily.
He says the opposite.
Although I do think there's a lot of problems that he has with Jewish people that really get to be that bad, and that's personified both in terms of the hatefulness and also in terms of like the insanity and like how far this guy's lost it. It's got to be the Netanyahu routine, man. Bringing out the net. And like Kanye West,
that one from Elon.
Kanye West talking with a puppet net and Yoo-Hoo Bottle about how the Zionists are going to kill him for defying their free speech was not on my 2022 bingo card, man.
You guys hear about that? You guys hear about that thing that Elon did, like when he brought the sink into the Twitter HQ, and he was like, "Let that sink in. Has it sunk in yet?"
Love that.
Yeah,
it's like just a shitty prop joke for like it's like not like a very well thought out prop.
Right, but he didn't try to personify the sink as an evil like, Jew that was going to kill him. Right,
that's
like
true.
that is what Kanye did, and it's like throughout my whole time, you know, there's always been Kanye's he's not well, he's a bit crazy, he's out there, and we're like, no man, he's kind of just on his own wave, you know. That's always something like he's speaking to something real, he's just not always saying it in the clearest way. And like
that's what we'll always give him.
And then like and people, if like I always found like, listen, it's like you know crazy when you see it. And one of my definitions of crazy 5 years ago might have been like, I would have been like, you know, it's not like he's holding up puppets talking about the Zionists, you know, making made up voices and stuff, and he's literally there now. It's like, at what point do you identify? Like, what else is crazier than that? Like,
okay, yeah,
he believes there's a massive Jewish cabal that's fucking his wife and, you know, committing pedophilia. Like,
that's because he also like has caught like a lot of dudes fucking his wife. Apparently, did you see that thing with fucking Chris Paul? He's like, I found this dude. I caught this dude with Kim. He like
yeah. And then they said that wasn't true. I mean, who knows if it's true or not?
Still, it's fucking insane.
He tweeted a photo.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The basketball player? That's
the basketball player, CP3. Yeah.
That's great.
Like,
did you know in 2000?
And I was like, CP3?
Did you know? No, dude. Did you know in 2006, CP3 was voted the sexiest man alive?
What? Really?
Yeah, and he had a photo of his like glistening like six pack and like I was like 11. I was like, this guy does not look that hot on the court.
That's how I felt with John Legend. When
I was like,
John Legend, like this guy.
Well, John Legend at least like
sings.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul does have a very pretty face, but it's just like, I don't know.
My favorite thing is that after they did John Legend, they're like, let's stick with the voice and let's go for Blake Shelton for Sexiest Man Alive. They're just like, we're just going to stick with that cast for a little bit.
But would Kanye ever get Sexiest Man Alive? And maybe that's why he's so upset.
It's too late. It's too late for him. He had his chance, man. He had his chance, but
the mask
hit his sail.
Well, yeah, I don't think they're going to go for the dangerous type, you know, for Sexiest Man Alive. Not Nazi dangerous.
Oh, by the way, guys, we're on TikTok.
Okay. Yes, we are.
And they're asking if they can ask questions.
Yeah, of course, dude. You can ask all the questions
right now.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Bubby. Let's hear a question. You want to? Do we have a question?
Someone asked not a question, but said, why do
Okay, so someone said if you're mad about what Kanye said, you harbor hate and unforgiveness in your heart.
For Nazis?
This is what a viewer said.
So hold on. So this guy.
I don't even want to react to that.
I can react to that in a number of different ways.
Well, hold on. Okay, so I'm just trying to unpack real quick. So he said, if you got mad at what he said,
Right.
you
Then you harbor hatred and unforgivingness in your heart.
So I
From
think
Kanye, right?
I think what he might be talking about, this guy or whoever, this girl, whoever said that, is kind of like the stuff that Kanye is talking about from like this like warped Judeo-Christian perspective, where he's one, like every time he goes down this diatribe, it's always about sin, right? Like that's where it kind of emanates from.
Yeah.
And like everybody's committing an act of sin in his eyes, whether it's like pornography or the big one was like obviously like money grub, like he's like capitalist, like which is like super ironic, right? What the fuck. But the idea is like all these things are being committed in against what God wants. So it's interesting to me, and maybe we don't need to respond to that, but what I think is important, what he's saying is that is kind of like the perspective that like he's kind of throwing out there as like this meat shield for everything he says, is just like this idea that it's backed by a principle that's righteous. And that's, I think, where a lot of people kind of have this like huge problem. Well, I mean, like everybody has a problem with fucking everything he's saying, but one thing that's kind of like really weird is that like it actually doesn't really vibe with like that kind of like interfaith thing that he's doing. It's like he's creating like a crusade, right? Like as though like everything has to be against Christianity or things that are godly, and that's why they're wrong. And it's just like he, like, think about it, like he introduced gospel to so many people that weren't in the church, you know, and like he used to be a voice for that. Even like, dude, like 2 years ago, he was making like these really beautiful fucking gospel records that were cool to listen to, even if you like weren't Christian, and it was fine, like just bueno. And what's happening right now, which is super, super chaotic, is that like he's destroying the goodwill that he's not only built over his career to be kind of like actually like a pillar for like religion. Like actually he kind of was like where he fucking made Jesus walks, guys. Like, well, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, that's definitely a piece of it, and I think that kind of goes into the legacy question. And obviously, I'm not saying that there isn't good things that Kanye West has brought to the world. Obviously, there is, and I still have love for that. It's like formed who I am as a person in many ways, listening to that music. But like, we can still rebuke the sin, so to speak, like the awful things he's saying, like this argument, like okay, if he's mentally unwell, like yeah, obviously I still love that man. I want him to feel better. I want him to get himself under control. But like this argument of essentially like, oh, we have got hatred in our heart, like yeah, it's like hatred for Nazis, like, and this idea, oh, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, like I don't know, like you're really telling me like what if it's a Nazi baby? Like don't throw the Nazi baby out with the bathwater, like
Right.
it's sort of like okay, like I don't know if I really vibe with that. Like
What does that mean? What does that expression mean? I'm so fucking confused with
so
It's like when you want to like get rid of something, but in the act of getting rid of that thing, you throw out a good thing along with it. Right? So like an example would be like capitalism, right? Like if you like wanted to like tear down capitalism, right? You want to tear down capitalism because like it's a broken structure that like creates like great inequality, right? It like that like creates like a ruling class and like a peasant class, and like it creates like a culture based around like consumerism, right? And then but like at the same time, like it's also like a vehicle of like great prosperity in the world. Like it uplifts nations, like it like lifts people out of poverty, right? Like in the US, like yes, there are people that are starving, but like there are a lot less people who are starving now because of capitalism, right? So like if you want to throw away capitalism, a lot of people like that's like an example of the expression. Like don't throw it out. Don't throw out the bathwater along with the baby.
Okay. Okay. Well, what were you saying then?
it's just like it's at this point. I think again with the Netanyahu thing, I think that's just such a clear example of there's not love coming from Kanye in those statements, right? taking this Jewish leader, which he knows nothing about, right? Like whether you like Netanyahu or not, I don't. I really have a lot of problems with Netanyahu, but like my problems with him aren't that he's in charge of the Zionist media of Hollywood, and that he's gonna go commando on Ye. Like that's not my issue with Netanyahu, and like to paint it that way, and like it's just fucking bonkers, man. And that's the generous term for it. Because if it's not bonkers, then it's fucking evil shit. It's just awful to hear. And so I can say I'm sorry for Ye. I hope he gets better. But the very best thing for him to do would be to walk away from all these cameras. And to get away from all these people who are clearly trying to use him at this point. Like, I'm not saying that they necessarily shouldn't let him on, like, you know, deplatforming and all that stuff. I'm not trying to get into that. I'm saying the best thing for him to do himself would be to walk away. I don't know if he's capable of doing that at this point, but
Okay, so I would like to interject here. So part of the reason I wanted to ask like the question, like, do you think he's a Nazi, is because I think Amar brought up an interesting point when he said, like, when we think of a Nazi, right? Like, there's like kind of a new definition for a Nazi and like a historical definition for a Nazi, right? Like, historically, we think of a Nazi literally as like someone who enacted like the original like war crimes during World War II and enacted like a Holocaust on an entire people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in like a contemporary definition of a Nazi, we think of like neo-Nazis, which is really just like a modern, vocal, like completely outed anti-Semite, right? So like I'll draw a distinction here between like Nick Fuentes and like Alex Jones last night, right? Like Nick Fuentes is a dude who'll come out and like be an active Holocaust denier, right? He will say things like so like Nick Fuentes, for example, he'll say things like when I said like the cookie baking thing, like the example,
I heard about that.
Yeah. So like the whole idea is that like Nick Fuentes will go live and say like how long does it take to like bake like a dozen cookies at like a certain temperature, right? Like it takes like an hour to bake like a dozen cookies in one oven. So if you have like 500 ovens, right, then you can bake like this many cookies in an hour. And so if you're running those ovens like constantly and like filling these trays up and like baking cookies like with all these ovens, like I don't think we have enough ovens. I don't think we have enough time within like 5 years to like bake 6 million cookies, right? That's like what Nick Fuentes will say. He'll, like, do, like,
so let me
Holocaust
ask you,
math,
what do you
right?
think is wrong about that?
Okay.
Like, obviously, I think there are things wrong with that, but I'm just like, let's just personify it, to put some words to it.
Sure. So like here's what it's like the difference between like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones to me is like Alex Jones during their live stream yesterday was very clear about like there are plenty of like most Jews are good people. That's what he like said. Like that was his line, right? He wouldn't go with Kanye in saying like I like Hitler, like we're Nazis, like we're supporters of Hitler, right? Like he's drawing a line. He's trying to say like, dude, like I'm not gonna like level a judgment against an entire group of people, right? Nick Fuentes is happy crossing that line. Kanye is happy crossing that line now, right? Although like I don't necessarily hear what Kanye says as like being like completely like hateful and like actually like demonizing an entire group of people. I think like he's saying it in a way that's like very, very like incendiary.
So I guess I'm asking, like, what about what Nick Fuentes says is like problematic to you?
Well, so everything about it is problematic because like I think like if you
is it that he's making jokes? Is it that he's denying the Holocaust?
Yeah, he's denying like a historical trauma to like a population of people who like
Alex Jones also
like to like.
All I'm saying is that like Alex Jones has done things like that, but more importantly, Kanye did that too.
No, for sure.
Right?
No, but like here's my point though, is that like to me the difference between what they're doing and like what a Nazi does is that like they're not killing Jews, right? Like they're not enacting a Holocaust. That does not necessarily mean that like they wouldn't go out and enact the Holocaust given the opportunity or given like a leader like Hitler to like activate them, right? Like I think like very I think Nick Fuentes has like the potential to actually be a Nazi if like a Hitler would arise.
Sympathizer. So well, he's too big of a pussy, but it's too. But Will already
But
said
if it
it.
was like the popular culture, if it was like the mainstream at the time, as like there was like someone in power in that government, and like all of a sudden there was a big culture of Nazism.
I'm just
I think
making a
Nick Fuentes would be on the front lines.
I'm just making a blanket statement about that guy. Like just looking at him, he's a total fucking pussy, and he just talks shit. But
Yeah.
What will kind of like, and this distinction is really interesting because it's like Nazi sympathizer is like is a very like on the nose phrase that we throw around because it creates that distinction for us, because it's not the first time in history since the World War II that we have people that get away with it. They get away with this because they weren't committing the atrocity. And that's why we were like, well, you're a fucking Nazi sympathizer, so you're just as bad. So that's a big thing right here.
Well, even if they're not just as bad, like they're still bad. And like you need, so like you could have the discussion like, oh, are we willing to platform Nazi sympathizers? Or are we willing to say these are cultural icons that we can hold up in good grace? Nazi sympathizers. Like, it's not the same as a Nazi. You're right. They're not doing the atrocity. But if they're a sympathizer,
but their language is
like,
definitely atrocious.
It's like, yeah, like, but like let's at least call that what it is. Like that's what it is. He's nothing less than a Nazi sympathizer.
Well,
So,
okay.
Last thing I'll say about it is like I draw something of a distinction in my mind because I have a hard time like judging a person based on like what I predict they're capable of given like certain circumstances. Number one, like, but like that's not even the issue. Like for me, when I hear Ye talk about this stuff, like I really think to some extent that like I've like been reading shit like calling him like a completely like horrid, disgustable, despicable anti-Semite. And like I'm not saying that he's not an anti-Semite. I'm not saying that he's not like despicable in what he's doing, but I also like see in him like very much like a high schooler who like wants to see like what he can get away with saying and is more interested in saying like the craziest thing he can try to say. And like the whole point is like I said it, right? Like I think like there's a very telling quote when he said like I'm a Nazi, like now what, Ari Emanuel, right? Like I don't see him as a Nazi. I see him as like a dude who's like trying to actually get away with saying that he's a Nazi, you know?
So no, I'm with you there. And that's something that you can, I've thought that myself, but then like when you put that in conjunction with how he's been talking about Jewish people and how he, you know, first off, like going back to the Drink Champs interview, saying things like, I want every Jewish child to ask their father why Ye's mad at us, right? Literally trying to start a culture war, right? Using the media to start a culture war. And that ending with him taking the leader of the Jewish people, Benjamin Netanyahu, and turning him into a puppet.
Well, the leader of the is like the
correct, yeah. But to Kanye, like, right? That's why he's bringing that out, because to Kanye, Netanyahu and Ari Emanuel are like the leaders of the Jews.
Yeah, and you know,
and he said Ari Emanuel owns Hollywood. Like he said as much.
And what does Ari Emanuel really own? He owns the UFC. I know that. He knows like Endeavor.
UFC.
Yes. He's also Rahm Emanuel's brother, right? Rahm Emanuel worked for Barack Obama. Which is why he said Barack Obama's not the first black president. He's a Jewish president.
He's another
right.
Jewish
So when you say like
I thought what he was saying
when you paint Jews like that, even if it's for your whatever kind of argument you want to make, it is clearly hateful. And it is clearly being done to start a culture war, right? At what point do you like, okay, you're saying like, okay, I guess he's anti-Semitic. I'm like, honestly, who's more anti-Semitic these days? Like, I don't know, the Ayatollah, maybe. Like,
you know what it is?
Those are the types of places where we gotta go now.
Well, before I lose this train of thought, let me just cut in here real quick, because I think it's so crazy that like we get to this point with the conversation, right? We're just having a conversation about this motherfucker talking the most shit he can, right? And it's like you start picking especially when you hear somebody talk so fucking much because he's given so many platforms and there's so many interviews and there's so much deliberation about that, you start kind of getting this tunnel vision, but for things that you want to hear. And the language that you pick up on is kind of indicative of your own biases. And so with that, we are all people that used to that stand this guy for like eons, right? And my mic is echoing so much I can finally hear it. But the thing is, like, we don't want to denigrate this man, but at the same time, the other shit that he's saying, that is like, because you're right, Josh, he also says like, I love everyone, I love this and I love that, and it's like, okay, cool, I'm hearing that, Kanye, that's the shit that I thought you were all about, right? And then it's like, but what you're not hearing, and honestly sometimes people aren't even clipping these because there's so much crazy shit going on, is like the really, really disgusting stuff. And it reminds me of just how we always give the people that we idolize, or past tense, a pass for the despicable shit, right? It's like, yeah, like, okay, we get it, like, you were a fucking horrible person, and then insert Kendrick lyric about Michael Jackson. It's like, it's this instinct for us to just be like, oh well, is that important?
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, first off, you're 100% right there. But I mean, even like, if you look at Michael, you look at R. Kelly, I don't know, like, okay, Michael, people say, I don't know if that happened or not. Like, there's that debate. R. Kelly, we kind of know that shit happened. We go, okay, that's a bit over the line. Kanye, we know that shit happened with Kanye. We know this shit's happening. Like,
Right.
if he's going to be canceled like those guys, it's not one of those ones where you're like, well, you know, some people thought this, some people, like, he said, I love Hitler, I like Hitler, he had a lot, you know, the Nazis had a lot, everyone has redeeming qualities, especially Hitler.
Right? I think he's saying that as like a Christian also, like, but I like
Hitler. Yeah, he said that Hitler needs respect because he was a Christian.
That is like I could step away from that, but like I could understand his perspective being like a Christian, and like as a Christian he's saying like, I love humans, like I believe in like redeemable quality in people. Like,
yeah, but you don't have to like everybody. You maybe love everybody. You don't have to like everybody. You definitely don't have to like Hitler.
I know. I mean, he's saying that right now to be a fucking asshole in the world, to like be perceived as an asshole, and he's trying to get away with it with a Christian ethic, you know, while also like trying, like, at the like with his right hand he's holding up like Hitler, and he says like, as a Christian I can love this man because that's what Christ would have done, right? And with his left hand he like strikes down like the Jews, like, period, that he like believes are like in like this like pedophilic cabal that control like the media and his contracts, and like are like modern slave masters of like the NBA, like recording contracts, like all this stuff. Like he'll say like the most filthy things about the Jews in the same breath, you know.
What have we known about Kanye since he was getting punked by Ashton Kutcher? Y'all remember that episode where Ashton Kutcher acts like, okay, so Kanye shot 3 music videos for Jesus Walks.
Yeah.
And Ashton Kutcher like makes this episode as though these people are going to take away Kanye's film equipment and stop him from filming one of the music videos for Jesus Walks. And Kanye's like talking to like the people in there. He's like trying to explain like what's going on and why they have rights to film there. And they're like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Right. And then Kanye like is like acting like he's super cool. And then all of a sudden he grabs a camera from this dude, runs in the van, and then tells him to just book it. And then Ashton Kutcher like runs out of the tent at that point, and he's like, "No, Kanye, we were just punking you. We were just punking you." And then Kanye has his face on where he's like, "Oh shit, this was all a joke." And like in that moment, you just knew that like
he's a dog. He's got that dog in him.
And this is a person that if you tell him you can't do something, or
when it comes to your voice,
yeah, and you infringe on his creative control over anything. This is all about his creative control, I think, to be honest.
Right.
Because Even with the Balenciaga tuck that he's going, like this motherfucker, he just cannot relinquish any bit of creative control, and whenever he's met with that from like an executive, from a person that has a decision on something, Kanye's immediately going to be like, well, you were wrong and you were trying to trifle me, and this is just like the explosion of 25 years of creating products that made him feel justified because everybody bought him and everybody told him that it was the greatest thing that has ever fucking happened. And so he was validated. And now we have this. It's kind of our fucking fault. Now that I'm realizing.
You know, in a way, it doesn't feel that different from the Trump hat yay. Like, I understand that. This is, it really, like, I mean, in Trump hat yay was, as far as his actual ideology and actually what he wanted to promote was like poopity scoop. You know, like he didn't fucking have anything. Right? Like there's nothing there. Like in the same way, I feel like with this Nazism, like, yeah, there's nothing there. Like, but on the other hand, he's also got these people surrounding him, platforming. Like Nick Fuentes has gotten more views in the last fucking week than he has in his fucking lifetime.
Wow.
Right? And so these things are being perpetuated. And it's not like, oh, this is just to prove a point. Because you know what? And at the end of the day, like, as nowhere as it's going to go, clearly after all of this, like, the guy is trying to run for president. And if you can imagine a Kanye presidency, you'd have to imagine that there would be some more pro-Nazi
Hey, let me ask you this.
elements to the administration.
Josh, let me ask you this. Do you want more of this? As you grow up in life and live, it's 2022, you're 27 years old, you're going to live a long, healthy fucking life, and Kanye probably will too. Is this what you want? Out of Kanye, out of discourse, out of music, out of art, is this what you want?
I'll say this about it.
You know what I want? I can tell you what I want very clearly, and I think this is the ethic that everybody who's been a supporter of Kanye would want. I want someone to work on the fucking contracts. Right? Like, I want someone to come in and negotiate better contracts for the artists and for the basketball players and things like that. Like, this initial problem, and that's the one thing, like he says, he even thanks Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart actually went out and was like, listen, no one's actually trying to address Kanye's problem here. And that's why Kanye's been so fucking militant. And like, yeah, like, obviously I completely disavow how he's going about all this. I still think that contract issue is a fine thing to bring up, and like, he is not serving his own goals in that sense by doing all of this. No, like, everybody's forgotten about the contracts at this point, but like, I really wish, what do I want? I want someone to go and like do that like social uprising kind of thing and like take on these big corporations and take on the contracts. Like, that's one of those things that makes me so sad about all of this is like, I feel like everybody's fucking lost the plot, including him, and it's his duty to kind of keep that, you know. And yeah, you know, someone else is just gonna have to do it because like, this guy's lost his credibility.
Here's what I'd like to say about it. I think in over a decade of Kanye fandom, it's very difficult to say that you ever want what Ye is doing in the moment, like as it's happening, you know? Like, I think like he was maybe like well defended in the beginning of his career, but like, I'm like, I wasn't around like paying like that clear attention when like he did the Katrina like telethon, like even when he like stepped up on stage with Taylor Swift, like I like wasn't that big of a Kanye fan at the time, you know? Like, I think a lot of my Kanye fandom is like almost retrospective past that point, you know? But like, if like the history that I've learned of like those periods is to inform like my view of those things, like I think people thought he was fucking crazy when he did those things, you know? And they were like, is this the kind of like behavior we like to condone in like in a person like this? Like, is this the kind of way we'd like someone like this to communicate? And like, I think with Kanye, what we've come to learn in the last 15 years is that like the medium is the message, right? And the medium is fucking Ye. And like he would just describe himself as like a performance artist. Like I don't really find that label very helpful because I think it's like he like hurts, you know.
Do
Like
you
he
go
puts
to
himself. What?
Do you go to Yeezus?
Did I go to Yeezus the concert?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
was a great show.
you have seen Ye, the performance artist.
Yeah, the performance, like the performer.
Was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Show was lit,
Okay.
man.
What
He's a
happened?
great performer.
What happened? What was he? Was he dancing?
Yeah, he danced.
Well,
like,
there
up
were
the
there were
mountain with the fucking-
ballerinas that came out,
with the masks
and
and shit.
at
was
the end of
rough.
that show, the mountain split and Jesus walked out and he bowed.
No, it was an insane, like,
Dude, one of the best
gorgeous
shows of my
show.
life.
Yeah.
Dude,
What was
I
that
wish
shit you were saying? You were saying like he had like an Adidas contract, like he like broke ties with Nike like that night that we went, right? Will?
Yeah, so we caught him in Chicago, right? And so I remember I was in university, like I had done a final that morning, and I drove to Chicago. But he said he had flown. Like this was during. Okay, he had been, for context, he had been doing his rants. You know, for a while there was always like when I saw him during Watch the Throne, he was doing like this kind of like lovey-dovey rant over the Runaway beat. And then he had switched to doing his rants over the click beat, and it was really dark, and it was like super intense, and he would be fucking rambling. I am Steve Jobs. I am Disney. That's when that shit really got started, right? Like, and that shit was like it got super intense, and that was the start of like this like kind of like heel turn. That I mean, I was into that shit at the time. I'm still kind of into the like I am Disney, I am Jobs. I'm not into the I am Hitler, but like, I was into that like this great man like. But when he came to our show for in Chicago, he said he switched. He went back from the click beat to the Runaway beat for the rant. And he said the reason that he did it is because he was so happy because he had just gotten back from Germany earlier that day and he had secured the deal with Adidas.
Oh my God.
Right? And it was going to turn into like that was into 2013.
Yeah, 2013.
And that was like, 2 years later, we're doing Madison Square Garden for Yeezy 3.
Yeah. Just a little piece of history. I was supposed to go to the Columbus Yeezus show the day before Chicago, and I was like, well, fuck you guys, I'm gonna be at the show before you. And then when they were transporting
the mountain broke, right?
The fucking over I-74 on those 2-lane highways that I would drive to college since I was a 5-year-old. I've been driving on those highways. They're so fucking small that it couldn't fit on the highway, and it broke. It broke. And he was like, fuck Ohio and fuck Indiana because they suck. And I'm turning my ass around. I'm not going there. And I got a refund for my tickets. And I had a final the day that you guys the day that your concert was, so I couldn't make it out. Anyways, still such a fangirl after all these fucking years, this asshole. And like I feel like one thing is that like you can have these memories that are like really pure and like really really driven. Like I'll remember when I was 15 years old and like geeking out about Beautiful Dark with you guys. And it being everything, it was like the most important thing in our lives, right? And so one thing is that every rock star dies, and every rock star's music inevitably gets kind of shitty, and it's like whatever, unless you're like Bob Dylan, and then it sucks, and then it comes back, and like Kanye's kind of like that, where it's like you could tell that he might just pop off with like an incredible record that like does it, but right now he's not that. He's like not the zeitgeist artist that like we knew him as from like a chart standpoint, from like really like also kind of a musical standpoint. I think that's like fairly accurate. I mean, let's be real, And so it's like this one thing is like and Josh, you said this, like we've always had these, like this is just how Kanye talks to the media because it drums up anticipation for projects that he does, and he can turn it into a way that it makes him the most talked about person and also the most profitable person in whatever market he's doing. It's
More
like
than that, it's like it's an actual moment for him to get like these points out there in a broader audience outside of just like music fandom. Like take for example, like the whole like Taylor Swift thing, right? Like if he didn't get up on that stage and act a fucking like if he didn't like go yay on that fucking stage, like it would have been like a Macklemore moment, right? Like when Macklemore like texted Kendrick like after like he took home like best new artist, right? Like that would be like, and like what was that moment really? It was just like a music moment, right? It existed like on music blogs, right? Like it was written about on like Pitchfork and like the Source or whatever, but like outside of that, like you weren't reading that shit in like the New York Times, like in like real publications.
Right.
Like at this point, like Kanye, when he's like doing this shit, like he's being talked about, like they're writing articles about like the dinner he had with Trump, you know, like this is like an actual conversation in the news, right? Like, and it's disgusting. Like the only thing that can say is like this guy's fucking vile, you know.
That's exactly the problem, because it's like they're talking about him, but it's for the wrong reasons. And it's like, I understand.
Yeah, when it came to the record contracts,
this whole thing started with the record contracts again, I was like, this is a horrible way to do this, but like there's something to this. And the record contracts came up for all of like 30 seconds of this entire 4-hour fucking InfoWars episode. I fucking hate Alex Jones. Sitting through that and then looking at Alex Jones being like, he's the reasonable guy sandwiched in between Ye and Nick Fuentes. Like, and at some point, I mean, like, Alex Jones, again, he's like, we're all fucking crazy. It feels like, watching this thing feels like a fucking fever trip. Like, I would recommend, like, they could show this shit in theaters one day. Like, Ye's in his fucking ski mask. Alex Jones puts on his fucking lizard mask. Says he's one of the enemies of Ye. Why he's I don't know, the Jews are lizard people?
Yo, I have a cousin who wears the same Gap sweatshirt that Nick Fuentes wears and has been wearing for the past week and a half. That blue fucking Gap sweatshirt. And it's hilarious because I'm like,
bro, you look like Nick Fuentes.
And he's brown, but he's white, so he looks like he's Nick Fuentes. Like, and he also talks a lot of shit, like kind of like on some dumb shit. Like, I'm like, that's the appropriate sweatshirt to be wearing for him.
Wait, you're gonna have to specify that one. We can't just like be like, oh, he's kind of like Nick Fuentes.
His
jokes.
My cousin, who shall not be named, but yeah, like he's like transphobic. He's like he's closeted homophobic. Like he'll only say when he feels safe. He's like John Gruden level, like just saying the wildest shit because he thinks it's funny and that's how he grew up. I'm not gonna
like a typical like hype beast upbringing.
Yeah, totally. But he'll never admit it to anybody else, you know. Like, and in the right rooms, he'll act totally sane.
Yeah, like if he's watching Twitch, like his favorite streamer is like Aiden Ross.
Yes.
Yeah, WL community type shit.
Oh man, do we haven't gone back to the question well in a while. Do we have any more questions?
Right now the TikTok stream died. Yeah, I think we got reported.
Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think someone reported the conversation because we were like, because it's touchy. Yeah.
Oh, what a
really we got canceled?
Yeah, but you want to hear something interesting? You want to hear something like kind of fun? We peaked at 700 viewers.
Fuck yeah.
And we got 2,000 likes. And we were live for maybe 15 minutes.
Grace is an all-star for that. Grace is our publicist.
Yeah. I mean, 700 viewers is like actual viewership. It's crazy.
That's awesome, dude. No, seriously, we should take this to Twitch. We should take it to TikTok. I'm down for it. I'm down to live.
Wait, I still can't believe we got reported. That's crazy.
We should multi-stream like Ninja.
Yeah, we'll do some crazy shit. I'm down. I'm down. We can take it from Zoom to fucking Twitch, but not on Discord. We gotta figure out OBS. Yeah, well, okay, so I will say this. It has been almost therapeutic, but then at the same time, like, it's also kind of like not, because we're like, shit, man, this guy, like, he's just gonna use us and abuse us, and like, you think it's about something real, you think it's about something that's pure, and then honestly, like, I always do this thing where whenever Kanye talks his shit, I got really mad at him, and I got really mad, and I say, I'm done listening to Kanye. He's gone too far. He said something too hurtful. He's being too wild. I need to take a break. And the media makes me do that too, all the time. And I think this is one of those moments where it's like, I would love to just turn off my Kanye brain, and it might be switched off forever because he's that hurtful. Like he's like gotten to that point. Like my whole life, I've never been able to fully turn it off. We sat there together in a dark room with a virtual fireplace listening to Ye in 2017 or whenever that record dropped. And I was so relieved after I heard it because I said, finally, this motherfucker released an album that I don't need to hear again, or else I'll fucking crawl out of my skin if I don't hear this record again. It was the first time I was like, okay, he's finally human again. Like every great pop artist, like we're past his point of like him controlling everything I do. And so now as we get to like these more just absolutely unhinged versions and variants, I think I'm finally getting closer to just being like, I'm just gonna turn that switch off.
Switch.
I don't know. How do you guys feel?
Personally, I feel like I'm still so shocked that we got reported this. Like, it makes me
you
feel
feeling
like
him?
like,
You're feeling
like
him.
oh my god, we can't even have a conversation about how we.
How you think he feels? How
We
you think he
can't-
feels?
Oh yeah, man, that's insane. That's wild. No, I feel you on that. Obviously, it's like we're gonna have to do our part in like distance ourselves from our our memories in part. Like we can keep our memories, but we have to distance ourselves from that being the man who's out there on the streets today, because it's just fundamentally he's a different man. And that might be because he's unwell or because he's become hateful or some combination therein. There's a bigger mental health conversation that needs to be had in this country. But like overall, man, like I don't know, like could I still spin the old records? Sometimes I feel that irreverent. Sometimes I don't give a fuck. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
And then at the other hand, it's like some of those lines. I was thinking about the joy. Like that line, your life's cursed while mine's an obscenity. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it is. Your life is an obscenity, man. Like, you said the most obscene shit I've ever heard in my life.
yeah, I mean,
So I'm in a position where I'm like not feeling so intense about like having to spin his old records. Like I don't even really feel like too much of a desire to do that, because like I think like a lot of Kanye albums, they like live in a contemporaneous moment. Like they're like amazing like during Yeezy season, and then like after Yeezy season, like you're like you've absorbed like that like fucking zeitgeist, and then like you move on with your life like with it like with like the feeling of like the world being like somewhat transformed, like I don't like really ever try to like reopen that box,
Mhm.
but like what I'll say is, so like I'm not trying to like I don't know like boycott Yeezy or anything like that. Like I'll like just do that like by virtue of like my never really going back to his albums anyways. But like what I feel is like a persisting love for him, like, and like I hate the feeling of him defining my thoughts, right? This is something I've been struggling against like for 10 years now, is like every time I like get into a conversation with you guys, sometimes I feel like the thing we all gravitate towards is fucking easy. The most animated our group chat has been in 10 years is like right now around Kanye. Like we're fucking best friends, and like we can only talk when we're talking about Kanye, when like some shit is going fucking down, like that's when we fucking talk. That's when like the bat signal goes up and we all show up, to be friends. So like
true.
I think like whether we like cancel him or not, like in our hearts, like we all kind of know where our hearts are. Like this is a dude who like we will pay attention to. We're not gonna like follow him. We're not gonna like prop him up with like our arms, but like we wish the best for him, like whatever he's doing, like it has relevance in our minds because we love this man, and like we know that he fights his fights. Like if he like articulates horribly, like we want to know how he's speaking himself.
And when you say we wish the best for him, that's interesting because like normally that kind of means like I want you to succeed in the ways that you want to succeed.
Right.
And,
No,
that
just
I do
that,
not,
yeah.
I do not want.
I
Like,
do not want Ye to become president.
I do not want him. I do not wish the best for Ye. And that is crazy because I would always wish the best for Kanye West because like that meant more good music. That meant good music Fridays. That meant fucking I never even bought anything that he put out, but at least I could see it in the streets and motherfuckers that I fuck with would have it. You know, and like now it's like I don't wish the best for him. I just wish him health and like love and like happiness and like him to feel like he has a family and like he can also reflect on some of this shit maybe like and be like yeah like 5 years from now being like that was a wild time. I was saying wild shit because like I'm a wild motherfucker and that's me and maybe he doesn't have to apologize but maybe he just has to acknowledge like the fuck like this moment was and like he got close to that like I think a few years ago when he like had a diagnosis and now apparently to him he doesn't, right? And it's like I don't know if we'll ever get a moment of clarity from his side because when he initially had that diagnosis it was kind of like he wrote it on his album, you know, like he was like I'm bipolar like and now it's like oh that was a misdiagnosis and now
The Jews diagnosed me, man.
Yo, but that shit is actually scary though, because you like read that text from his trainer, right?
no
Like that like weird trainer he has.
no what's
That
up
was like he was saying like there's like one of two ways we can do this. Like you can like I'm gonna misquote and like I apologize
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah. But I know what you
misspreading
mean,
like
yeah.
whatever it was, but like he's gonna like we can do this one of two ways. Like we can like go nicely into our tomorrows, like you can apologize and like de-escalate from this moment, or I can get you so doped up you'll know you won't even remember who the fuck you are. Like you'll lose entire like you lose your sense of like of like your of everything. Like your life will turn into a twilight and you'll be like walking through that for the next like 5-10
who
years.
said that
His like personal trainer. Yeah,
Sick.
right. So like he's surrounded by dudes who are like threatening to like dope him up so heavy that like he will forget everything about his life and like himself. Like it is I feel like a diagnosis is scary when you're surrounded by that energy.
for sure and
Yeah, super fucked up.
yeah and
Super
like
fucked up.
think about the triggering moments that have happened to him in the past few years. It's always about when he feels like his life's threatened because he does something, bro. When he did the mega shit I really was like Kanye's just trying to wear red like as an accessory because he's a fashion. And then it was and then what
It's
was
always been his favorite color.
and that was political and I was like if I was like you know how many people I know are fucking asshole MAGA people and I still like I grew up in that country like I can't not like I can't like cross you off a list and be like you're a fucking horrible human being just because you vote for an asshole. Like that's where we were at that point. And then Kanye keeps on talking about how when he put the MAGA cap on, he says this almost every time he's going down his like personal like feelings of like anguish. He's like people threaten my life, right? And so Josh, what you're talking about is this thing where it's like something happens to Kanye, and then these people around him that are like his acolytes and his like modern day kind of sycophants almost they do things that endanger his well-being because they're fucking awful people. Like if you think Kanye is an awful fucking person, like think about the people that he's been surrounded by for the past 25 fucking years.
Yeah,
Like
just like don't say nasty things out loud.
yeah, dude. And so that what kind of damage does that do to a person?
Yeah, but like that kind of goes back to my first problem that I ever really like that I've still never been able to square with Yeezy, which was when he was hanging out with like Ian Connor and fucking
True.
ASAP Barry and all these fucking these guys are fucking like all have sex charges.
It reminds me of like the
against
Heart
them.
Part 4.
Like,
You know, like the song that Kendrick put out before
Yeah,
before Mr. Morale.
yeah.
Right? And he's talking about like
part
the
five,
culture.
part five. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
part five. Yeah. Yeah. And he's like the whole song is like a love-hate letter. It's like basically like I love you, I hate you, but like it's a letter written to like the culture, right? And like the
Where's Kendrick right now? Kendrick, what? Kendrick.
but this is like this. It's kind of something I want to get into because I mean, like Kendrick had Kodak Black on his album. Like that dude's got like rape charges against him.
Bro.
Right? Like, that shit is
Yeah,
fucked
no,
up,
I
too.
understand. Like, I understand why.
How we
that's,
feel
like,
about that? Like, I love Kodak. Right?
Kodak
Like,
is
Kodak's
not
a
just
great
on
fucking-
that record. Kodak is that record.
Kodak is that record.
He
yeah.
is that record, and like
I
we
agree.
celebrate Kodak for being on.
I
that
went.
record.
I went to that.
Everyone's favorite song is Silent Hill.
I went to that concert and he just played. He played all the Kodak parts. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what can I say? Like, I mean, first off, Kodak did his bid, right? He did his time. he did. Kodak did his time until Trump pardoned him. Trump pardoned him. But like, no, I mean, like, yeah, obviously, like, I feel you there. I don't think it's that simple, and I don't think that was part of why I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm done with Kanye. Even with like Marilyn Manson, I'm like, okay, I believe in this idea of being able to walk with the damned, but like, that's so different from being a Nazi.
Let's get into one more thing though. Like, I want to bring up one more point. I've been like nervous to like open up like this like
okay,
this like box, but like I think what Kanye's doing is like sort of an extension of like Black nationalism, like Garveyism that like existed in hip hop, like largely, right? Like before Kanye ever opened up this box, like before he ever said like DEFCON 3, right? Like we've heard bars about like even like Jay-Z on Story of OJ is like rapping about the Jews and like how they like build a community around themselves, you know, like this is like something that has been spoken on. Like in hip hop, like people talk about the Jews. Like, why did like Jay-Z want to like get into like an owning share of like the NFL? Like, why does he want to like why did he want to make Duce? You know? Like, why did he
that's
buy
one
like
of those
Ace of
things.
Spades? Or like, why did he like produce Ace of Spades? Like, it's because he wants like a community to get around businesses, right? Like, why did he open a fucking like school like for like Bitcoin education, right? Like, what?
That was one of those things that killed me when I was thinking about Saint Pablo, right? Because just going back to the old Kanye records, it is like there's just the one line on Saint Pablo: "The Jews share the truth on how to make a dime. Most black men couldn't balance a checkbook."
But this is like that's like a stereotype in rap.
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah, it is.
commonly returned to, and like even if we talk about like Black nationalism rhetoric, like largely like there's that on like Mr. Morale, like like Kanye is saying like. He's like got that whole shit about like the mark of the beast, the COVID vaccine. Like I had to question Kyrie. Like, what is he talking about then? Right? Like even back on like Paper Butterfly, he's talking about I used to think Marcus Garvey had all the answers. Right? Like what the fuck is he talking about there? Like, it's that line of like Black nationalists, like
Kendrick can get away with it. Kendrick can get away with it, right? Because he says it almost as if he's posing a question. Because he just approaches everything like that, right?
Right.
With this level of like approved like laureateness, where we look at him and we go, the way that he writes is so beautiful that he can bring up anything and he can do no wrong. And when
just a pass we give Kendrick,
yeah,
like
we give Kendrick a pass all the time on all of his bullshit. We do, because we love him as a person, and then when and he doesn't do it outside of music. He never says that dumb shit or any of that questionable stuff with his voice. And when have you ever heard Kendrick ever, not in a rap song, not in like a theatrical way, say something where it's like very like on the like border of like, well, is that really appropriate or is that even truthful? You don't have that question with him. Kanye just goes there every fucking time. And
that's
Kanye,
one of my like primary criticisms of Kendrick as an artist is like I love his music, but I feel like he's not an activist.
Right.
Well, that was the whole thing during Black Lives Matter, right? Like they were like, "Where's Kendrick to lead the music?"
Where's Kendrick?
And
he just
where's his voice?
3 fucking years.
Yeah, like where's his body? Right? Like maybe, but like I can't even blame him because like who wants to put their body on the line like that? Like he doesn't want to.
All I can say is personally, I think there's plenty of room to have that type of like, Black nationalists, pro, like, I mean, some of those things are hard to talk about and they have been demonized without a doubt. I think there's plenty of room though to speak on them. So long as now it's like you could like maybe Kanye's created the Overton window. He's moved the Overton window. He's created the space for someone to be like, listen, I don't hate Jews.
Who are you?
I just want to talk about the contracts.
Well, I think like it goes to. I think like if anything, Kanye's pushing the issue that like a black nationalist agenda, like a true agenda surrounded like defined by black pride and black prosperity and black success, is completely antithetical and like it actually is at war with like white popular liberalism.
Before I push
You
back on
know?
you, before I push back on you, Josh, even like LeBron James,
Right.
LeBron James is so funny. He's like about to exit this.
Yeah, the interview thing that
He
happened
goes,
like today.
he goes, hey, why didn't you ask me about Jerry Jones? And it's like LeBron, you're the only motherfucker that like when nobody asks you the question, you can like you're so corny that you'll just like bring up the thing that you wanted to say before and then be like, I'm admonishing you, media, because you didn't. And anyways, it's true though. Like these figures, and he defends Kyrie on this because he's like, yo, when Kyrie's talking about Jewish people and running his mouth about some dumb shit that LeBron called him out on, he's like, y'all are just hounds, y'all
Right.
hounding us, right?
Right.
The second, Washington Post puts out like a photo of a billionaire at a rally in the 50s for desegregation for segregating schools, right? Jerry Jones was a 14-year-old and he was photographed at we should do a better job of articulating these things, but he was basically photographed at a very at a rally for segregation, like this very important photo in civil rights, like he's in there. And he owns a multi-billion-dollar NFL franchise, and he never hires black people. And the Washington Post wrote this article, and Brown's kind of like keep the same energy.
Right. I mean, we can like compare it to like what we were talking about with the contracts, right? Like when Kanye is bringing up a very valid point,
so,
like
so
there's
let
an
me-
abuse,
let me-
right? But like that's not written about in our popular media, like our most important outlets that like the left owns, right? But
Totally.
then like when he fucks up, when he like says this anti-Semitic shit, like that's front page.
Totally.
You know?
And let me push back on it too, because
Yeah,
we can have both of these in the same vein, and people can learn from all of it. One, like that the black nationalist movement often gets confused when we talk about black Zionism, and like when they talk about being the true people of Israel, which is what Kyrie was purporting with his tweet, which is why people got mad. And Kanye runs his mouth on that shit all the time, calling himself a Jew and stuff like that. And then people are like, wait, we're not going to accept that. And and the reason why is because, I don't think it's appropriate to just say, no, you're not allowed to say that. I think we need to have a better discussion, because what happens is, because of and again, maybe we should find one of our friends that's even more equipped to talk about specifically this issue, because I think it's so crazy, right? And I don't even feel like I know what I'm talking about when I do this, but black trauma is so intense that creating a narrative about being the true Hebrew, and being the kings of Israel, is a more empowering way to envisage your history, right? But then what you do there is you are deleting a history, and that's the problem there, because I think from an interfaith perspective, people have to be more cautious and friendly, and to say, well, I love that you feel the power of that movement, just like when black people found Islam in the 60s, and we had the Nation of Islam, and Kyrie was fasting, and like Kyrie, like, even though he had those things to say about, he didn't really even say anything. That's the thing about Kyrie, is kind of crazy, like the way that they're doing him. He tweeted some dumb shit, and then he didn't apologize, and it's like, well, Kyrie, you should apologize for doing that. That's fine, but to be honest, he didn't do anything. Like, to me, Kyrie is fine. And what Kyrie does is he looks for truths in ways that often aren't the truths, but there are spiritual questions that can open up dialogue, which is really important, right? Like him fasting during playoff days because he found Islam. That's a beautiful thing. And now he's like, oh, there's even more people that believe in this idea. And he's like, guess what, guys? That's the truth. And then it's like, wait, that one's a little more controversial, because unlike the Nation of Islam, which believes in Allah, they're not replacing Muslim people in the Middle East and in around the world as the true version of that. The problematic thing about some of those forms of Black nationalism when you talk about like the kingdom of Black Jews is that it's an act of replacing, and you're talking about a people that literally got replaced like 6 million times over, you know, and there's a billion fucking Muslims on this earth, and there's not that many Jewish people, and they almost eradicated like practically fucking all of them, like 70 years ago. Like that shit happened. And so this whole thing is like the reason why it's fought with such a force is because something tragic did fucking happen, and these people don't want to cop to that. And it's like you can have things that are tragic. You can have brown, Black children getting bombed by Obama, and you can also vote for the man. I would have if I was 18 and I could have voted. I would say now I'm lucky that I wasn't old enough to vote for Obama, because he was fucking murdering people like me, right? And you can live with contradictions. And I think I want to hear what you guys have to say about this too, but I just think it's like let's let you're right. The media doesn't want to ever live with those lines, because Kanye's right about a lot of shit when he talks about people being fucking skeevy about what their ideas are. You know, nobody's perfect in that line. And I love, like, we can talk about this next week where like the cryptocurrency Sam Bankman-Fried, like it's a great example. This dude gets a platform by the New York Times. When when the Super Bowl commercial for FTX happened, I fucking bought $15 because they had a marketing scheme. I'm never getting that money back because he stole it from me, right? Like, and the New York Times is gonna let him in on a panel. You think he wasn't paid for that shit, bro? He's getting a voice. Like I have a subscription to the New York Times. Let's talk about that contradiction. I wake up every morning and read the fucking news for the NY Times, because from my perspective, they're a more, you know, like apt way of getting my news. It's all bullshit, and let's call out our own contradictions as we see them. But that's a great thing.
I never felt more conflicted than like this morning, opening up my phone and like going to nytimes.com and like having watched like 35 minutes of like fucking Alex Jones last night. I was like, where am I getting my information, man? Where does any of this shit come from, dude?
But not the
I gotta tell you, like the most intense thing about InfoWars and Alex Jones has got to be like, he's got this ethos of like, you know, I've said it a couple times, like, we're all crazy. This is all crazy. It's like, it makes you feel fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. He's like selling vitamins on top of the fucking broadcast. Then he's got like fucking video montages coming in of like fucking like, oh, just like fucking lizard people. And he's got like Orwell fucking talking, and like, dude, he's got these crazy like boomer cartoons of like drones like walking in the middle of the street, like can't look up from their phones and shit. Like, crazy.
When at the end of the interview, Kanye sings "Send in the Clowns" by Frank Sinatra, and then Alex Jones like waits like 3 or 4 minutes and then picks up on it. He's like, hold on, we're gonna listen to "Send in the Clowns" by Frank Sinatra. And there's a montage ready to go of like Justin Trudeau and like Elon Musk and like world leaders, and then it shows Alex Jones dressed up as the Joker, and I'm like, is Kanye referencing this because he watches like, does this happen on InfoWars all the time? Send in the Clowns, like, or did Kanye just bring it up randomly and then like
they had it queued up?
InfoWars was just ready.
They were just so ready.
Go, yeah. Like. Both of them are so strange, but it certainly it makes me feel like sometimes, you know, some people. This is my takeaway from it is, people tell you who they are, right? Like they really, it's not always this complex. Like there's complications, but in large part, people kind of tell you what they are, what they think, and like Alex Jones going like, "Oh my God, we're crazy. This is all crazy. The world's crazy." I'm like, yeah, man, you are crazy, man. You live in a crazy place. The show you have is crazy. Kanye saying some of this shit, like, I think he loves everybody. I also think he hates Jews. I think, and I mean, in fairness, he said he was jealous of the Jews during Drink Champs, and as Drake said, jealousy is just love and hate at the same time. So
Drake, where's Drake? We need some Drake in pop culture. Didn't he just drop a record? Did all of us sleep
I
on?
lost. No, I've been
Just
bumping
you,
it.
dude.
Yeah, dude, I've been bumping it
Y'all
plenty.
have just let me fucking sleep on this fucking 21 Savage.
You let yourself sleep
It's
on it.
so good, bro.
Where
It's-
am
it's
I? Why
pretty
isn't it added into like any of my?
Well, that's a fun one because it's so toxic. It's the most toxic Drake record ever released.
Whoa.
The promotional run for the album was pretty insane. Also,
All,
What did they-
promotional run was great.
What did they do for it?
They did
Just
a
all
fake everything, fake Tiny Desk, fake SNL, fake
Fake
Vogue
Vogue
magazine.
cover. Yeah, Vogue magazine. They got sued. They're being sued by Vogue right now because they like faked the magazine and people thought it was real, and they were on the cover of like
Parody law. Parody law, right? They'll get away with it.
No, no,
Probably
I don't
not.
think they will. Because it
Wait.
was so realistic, it was not a parody. It did not look like a parody. It looked like they were trying to convince.
It wasn't called Dumb Starbucks. It was
No,
No,
it
well,
looked very much
it's-
like they were trying to convince people they were on Vogue, but like at the same time, it's in the middle of like a whole string of like parody.
Of fake things, yeah.
Right,
It's tough
promotion.
to say.
Yeah, it's kind of blurring the line.
I
He
think they're
posted
just
hentai in his Instagram story.
that was a weird one. That
That was a
has
great
nothing.
one.
That has nothing to do with
That
the
one was
rest.
awesome.
It has nothing to do with the rest of the promotion. It's just
No,
something
because it was
he did.
also because they were also just like very internet savvy because they were like also like streaming and shit. Like Drake was calling streamers. Like I think he called Aiden Ross. He called like Kai Cenat. Like 21 Savage went on stream with Kai Cenat. Like they had like a whole fucking thing together. And like that was in promotion of the album, you know?
What's fucking skeevy bastards these guys? Drake's just always fucking doing the most fucking cunning marketing shit. He's just so
Yeah.
God damn it, Drake.
Yeah. Plus he's doing that gambling sponsorship, which everyone on Twitch was doing. Like that's crazy.
Bro,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
he's on that.
Yeah, he's like he loves like the same shit that like Twitch streamers love because he thinks it just like fucking like makes
He's a
him like
fucking Twitch streamer.
big in the community, you know? Yeah.
Drake is a fucking Twitch streamer, dude. He's such a twat. No,
I mean, he's not gonna lose that audience.
I gotta listen.
Let himself.
I would love to hear some good fucking. You're telling me this record has just some tracks you're just bumping, you're just like Drizzy and
Drake said it's definitely in my top 5. It might be in my top 3.
oh my god, Drake said that? Was that marketing?
Well, I don't know if it's in his top. It might be in his top 5.
Did you guys know that there's a song? It's song 21 on Certified Lover Boy. It's called The Remorse. I was in the car with Jayla and she was playing The Remorse. And I was like, "You let me sleep on this track?" And she goes, "Motherfucker, you've been sleeping on this shit. You're the only one who hasn't heard this song." And I was like, "This song is so good. It's just that classic Drizzy." I got 7 tracks into that record. There's 21 fucking songs, and it's like that moment where you're like, you know that when Drake does that thing where it's like a smooth 40 beat, and he's just like saying that like you don't even care what he's saying. It's just like
Yeah, one of those.
Oh, so good.
Well, yeah, you should go back, man. Well, not to belabor too much on Drizzy, because obviously he's sticking out of this issue as a
as a Jew.
you know, he's not trying to wade into that. I don't think it's a good look. Although there was a diss, he dissed Kanye on the record.
This has always been about Drake. This whole thing has been about Drake. Fuck you guys. He's
Holy shit, you're so right.
I just
You're
realized
so right, dude. You're so right because he still thinks he fucked Kim.
this
Even
is
though he
all
said he didn't, he still thinks he did because he found Chris Paul in bed with her, man. Apparently, allegedly,
Allegedly.
reportedly.
yo. Oh, best part of that.
Self-reportedly.
Best part.
Self-reported. dude.
Best part of the of that interview from with that bastard Infowars motherfucker is when Kanye's like denouncing every celebrity, but then he's like, but except for Ray J.
Except for who?
For what?
Except for Ray J. He was like, I'm
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
every celebrity. I don't fuck with any celebrities except for Ray J. And I was like,
Well, you know why, right?
well, yeah, I know.
Hard drives.
Because Ray J gave him the hard drive.
Yeah, right. I saw
Oh,
the episode.
what was
Ray
that?
J gave him the extra sex tape. there was
Oh.
another sex tape floating around, and Kanye has a great story on this in the Drink Champs interview. He's like, I met Ray J at the fucking airport, and Ray J was wearing like
black gloves, like black, like
all
jacket,
black,
like,
all
bandana.
black, everything. He just walks in, and they're like,
And they were asking like, so how do you know he didn't just back that shit up to like the cloud or something, or like make a copy? And he's like, well, he gave it to me. No, you don't understand. He gave me the hard drive. And, like, that was it. That's what they dropped it.
And the amazing thing is, they're like, yeah, so we met at the airport, we got into this room, and then it's like, all right, there's only one thing left to do. Hit play.
Oh no. I thought his whole thing was like anti-porn, and he's like,
well, that's one of those things too, right? Kanye says now,
Dude, at the same
he said
time, he also has a huge cucking like obsession.
He said anyone who watches porn is a pedophile, and this guy is a known porn addict.
oh no.
Yeah, I mean, he also just loves cucking people with porn. You know, like, I don't know if you guys saw that thing where he like played porn for like the Adidas exec.
Yeah, apparently they're investigating him for that now.
Right, and it was a cucking porn, right? It was like a German dude who was like, it was like a girl who was getting fucked by like a black dude, and her German boyfriend had to watch because like he wouldn't like buy her something, right? And so like he was in the room like, and like his joke was like, hey, doesn't this guy in the video sound just like him? And he had like his friend like laughing and like nodding along to the whole thing.
Oh my god!
It's like, how do you feel watching this? What does this make you feel like watching like this dude like watching this porn and watching him like watch him fuck her? Like, do you think that does it hurt? Do you think that's how I felt when you guys took my designs and released them without my knowledge? Is that how you think I felt when you guys did Yeezy Day without me?
Bro, this guy loves to get cucked though. That's the thing though.
He loves cucking. He loves getting cucked.
Yeah, he does, man. He's so weird.
Same with the Jared Kushner thing.
He's so weird, man. He's the weird fucker, dog. Honestly, he's so weird.
He's been through a lot, dude.
I don't even think
You don't lived a lot of life.
so. I don't think he's been through a lot. I think he's just been doing some shit. That's just it. He is who he is, man. And it sounds like we're not canceling him, but he should be canceled.
Well, what do you mean not canceling him? He's as canceled as they come.
No, I mean, as a trio, it sounds like.
Well, no, I've canceled him. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna listen to everything he says.
We're talking about it. We're recording our first podcast about him, our debut episode.
Right. Well, no. Okay, but what does it mean to cancel someone? What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not gonna be like, yo, you gotta check this shit out. I know it's a private thing for me now, but like, that's because it's like, yay matters. Like who he is and what happens to him.
But there are people that are just like us, right? Who listen to him for 15 fucking years since they were little wee tykes, and they're like, I'm done with him. That's well, you said, what does cancel mean, right? And I'm saying like, it's funny because there is a spectrum. Where it's like,
what? They're not gonna listen to the next record. Come on.
Yeah, no. This is what I'm saying. Will, this is what I'm saying. Is there people like, look at the Kanye spectrum? Like there are people on the right that are like, everything he says is fucking pure gold. Like we stand with him. We get what he's saying. There's a TikTok dude who took us off TikTok tonight, right? And posed the worst question that I've ever heard. That we took the bait, and then there's people on like the far left of that where they're like, yeah, like this guy is dead to me, and everything that he did, I'm deleting it from it. So I'm burning my Yeezy shit. Like
that's the question I really have to ask. Do I have to get rid of my? Can I still wear my Yeezys tomorrow?
Yeezy
Can I wear
right now?
You're wearing your fucking Yeezy
pants. Can I go out in my Yeezy shoes
right
tomorrow? I got a date tomorrow. Can I wear my Yeezys on the date?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. We're in the middle where we realize that what he's saying is awful, and we're admonishing him, and we're like, you're a piece of shit for saying that, Kanye. But like at the same time, we've all agreed that like we will still continue.
If it's culturally allowed, I'm gonna wear the Yeezys to the date. Yeah.
You can wear your Yeezys, dude. I see people wearing Yeezys all the time, and I don't think people are getting like pressed about it. Like, Like they don't think you're not an anti-Semite because you wear Yeezys, unless you're like 16 years old. Unless you're like between like 16 and like 20 and you have on like the Yeezy Gap hoodie also, then you might be an anti-Semite, transphobic, like closet homophobe.
I mean,
You might also be
That could be
Jewish.
the case.
You might be. Like,
well,
there's-
what if I use that retortive? I'm like, no, man, I'm not an anti-Semite because I am Jew. Right.
Didn't work
So
for you. Why would
Speaking
it
of
work for you?
it doesn't work. very
What
well,
makes
does
you
it?
think that would work for you?
that we should do a part 2 with Zach, so that we can all get a little more, just closer to a real person's. We have a friend, for the audience. We have a friend who is was born Jewish. He now claims that he now claims that he's atheist. That's what I meant. Like, but he knows he is Jewish. Culturally, he's like he knows where. I'll let him talk. He'll be on the next episode. He's fucking great, and we'd love to get his opinion on all this madness. Because I also feel like I'm just talking.
Wait, are we coming back to Kanye next episode?
Let's do
Every
it.
episode
Let's
about
do
Ye?
it. Every episode.
You think this Infowars fucking thing was the last time we'll ever hear from this motherfucker in this week, especially? No.
No, I think there's more to come.
There's some dumb shit that's gonna pop.
Yo, did y'all see the shit that he posted about Elon before he dips? Just
So
that
funny,
picture.
dude.
No.
So funny. Let the world, let me be remembered like this is the last tweet that I ever posted. So fucking funny. And it's just like Elon shirtless, like just looking
Getting
fat
sprayed.
and ugly on a boat.
And then
It's
there's
so
this guy, and there's a
fucking
guy
ruthless.
spraying him with a hose
Yeah,
on the back of the head.
Did you see what Elon replied?
No, I
Elon
didn't
replied,
see it.
he said that is fine. And then he banned his ass.
That is fine.
that
You
is
guys said
a good
You
interaction.
guys said you were sad. That's why I told you I'm not sad about it. None of this makes me sad, because it's not sad to me. It's fucking, it is absurd. And
What?
in a very absurdist lens. I know that, like, what you talk about when you see this guy wearing a lizard mask and Kanye wearing a mask, and this fucking like asshole
See-
wearing the same thing as my cousin, it's absurdism.
See,
It's
the thing is, Kanye is like the reason I'm sad is I have to acknowledge fully. There's no room left for me to doubt. He is the villain in this story now, or at least his mental illness is. But like in the same way, like, okay, you said canceled, we're done with this guy. I feel like Kanye's too big to be done with. Like he's like Trump. Fucking for 4 or 5 years. I wouldn't say Trump was not canceled. The guy was fucking, people despised him. Everybody watched every move. It was too important. There was too much going on. You can't get away from the spectacle when the audience is that big. Kanye is one of those people, man, that's like one of the most recognizable people in the world. And he's gonna his obviously his pedigree, his face. He's lost a lot of face with this interview, He's lost a lot of face. That doesn't mean that we're done with him. He's still very, very well known. And yeah, he could do anything at any time, and I'm gonna be reading about it. And if there's an interview, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, to make it and I think that's interesting, because like I feel like I'm fighting this battle like I've always had, but I feel like to give it agency, to like you said, he's a villain now, and for me, I want to be strong enough to see my heroes become the villain and not be sad about it, because I know that is a fact of life, and I know that it doesn't need to cloud what you feel, and you can still like have those like precious moments of like going to somebody's concert, and like Josh and I had this with when we were 17, we saw like an 80-year-old Bill Cosby, and we like were laughing so hard from the balconies, and I was crying, and I like wrote like all these amazing things after the concert, and it was just a beautiful moment, and like I'll always have that, right? And then like I'll also have the next fucking 8 years of fucking Bill Cosby, and like a big fuck you, and also my other best friend Sam like laughing at me every fucking day, because this is your man's right here. fucking Bill Cosby. Yeah, it fucking sucks. This is the worst shit ever. But you know, it's
Caddy Coot DeVille, Bill Cosby in the backseat.
right. Yes, and like, man, this is life, dude. This is life. Like these motherfuckers will turn on you, like they will become the fucking vilest motherfuckers, and you just got to sit there and fucking sit pretty and hope life doesn't turn for you. Like, be fucking cool. Don't. There are billions of people that never go down that path. For real, you know.
Nazi path?
Yeah, straight up that path.
Most people.
Most people. I mean, you think most people, but then you don't know like what people are doing, like for real, like, and it's like not to get crazy and dark, but like you just don't know. You never know. So it's like you know, you just got to be there. But hopefully, like this shit doesn't. And I know you guys are good, so I don't have to like worry about if you're actually sad. But you know, it's just kind of like I'm always like, no, I'm not sad.
I'm just willing. At the end of the day, I have to say, like, I am willing to throw the Nazi out with the bathwater. Like,
Yes,
I am willing to do it.
and Josh is.
See if you have a choice. He won't shut up. He's just gonna be a part of our lives. Like he's like part of this American life. You like there is no throwing him out. You know, like he's stuck. We're stuck with him.
The thing is, I think he feels stuck too.
I mean, there's nowhere he can go. You know, like what is he supposed to do? Go to Mars?
He's got no outs.
He's stuck on this planet until.
Oh man, realistically,
We're
he's
stuck
not
with
making it to Mars, is he?
No, no. He's probably not gonna make it to space anymore.
I think
I think the
versus
next
chances.
major breakup is between him and Elon.
I would love.
I think they're broken up. I don't know. I
don't
think
know.
it's over.
Oh, Elon said that is fine. What does that mean? Is it fine? Are things fine? I have no idea.
I love
Well, we'll
talking.
see. Is Kanye back on it? Is his Twitter back up?
Yeah, he said it was
I thought
12
it
hours.
was 12 hours, right?
Yeah, but has he tweeted since?
I don't know. Is his paid? But like when
He's
banned,
still
it's-
suspended.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think it'll dominate every single time we get together. I think there's so much to talk about. Let's remember there's so much other shit out there, and I would love to talk about other things. This is also one of the awesomest things that we can do. So let's continue to and let's just feed into the narcissism, and gloat in it and bask in it. But then also let's remember that there are other things going on that I would love for us to dive into. Maybe. Well, I know last time when we were doing this, you kind of did a really good job of fetching the best of and things that we're going to go down the road on. And so I'd love to do it before you go to Africa, or maybe what we'll do is when you're here, we'll do an episode. So that's next weekend. Okay, well, it's been a wonderful few hours.
Yeah, how long has this episode been? Shit.
It's been great. It's
Hour
been
and a half.
an hour and a half. That's great. It's been
All right, I guess that's what we're gonna
we
go
gotta
for.
go play some video games. We gotta go hop on the Discord servers. We gotta go play some Fall Guys. We gotta go play some.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters.
Yo, I just got a
That's some
level
sweaty
100.
lobbies, yo.
I just got a level 100 Charizard with perfect IVs.
This is also a video game.
Oh shit!
Wait, yo, I'm like a level 25. Can I still get the Charizard?
25.
I'm like,
Like 2 weeks, man. What are you even doing?
I'm so bad at this game.
Oh my
I just think
God.
I haven't completed the first gym. I'm a level 27. I haven't completed the first gym
Oh my God, he's not
Because-
playing.
because they make me grab these sunflower people, and I'm like, this isn't a gym. This
The
is.
Sunflora. Yeah,
It takes
I
like
actually
two.
did that.
It takes like 2 minutes, man.
Takes-
I was seeing them. They were dancing in slow, like stop motion. I was like,
Yeah. The
wanna catch
game.
these
Oh,
things.
it runs like shit, doesn't it?
like, it doesn't look appetizing.
Yeah, man. I was gonna ask you if you had caught your legendary yet, because I wanted to trade. It's the only Pokemon I still need in terms of evolutions. I got all the other Scarlet Pokemon. I got everything. I'm just trying to fill out the Pokedex at this point.
Kelly, I'm gonna catch up. I've also been playing The Last of Us Part 1, so that takes precedence. My PS5 is back.
I've
So,
been playing God of War.
oh, the first one?
No, second one. We
Wait,
got a PS5.
oh my God, what?
Black Friday, we got a PS5. Grace found one.
That's awesome.
Hey.
It's by, like behind the counter.
Wait, did you
It's
play
like-
Ragnarok? Did you play God of War 1 or you
No,
jump in?
not even. I I'm just jumping.
Who
on
gives
it.
a fuck? I played it. I didn't beat it. I want to play Ragnarok.
It's fucking sick.
I bet.
It's
Oh
great.
man.
I'm like 8 hours in, 9 hours in, or something.
I
like
have
that.
some PS5 games you can borrow. You can borrow Deathloop. You can borrow Ratchet and Clank. That's Hamza's. You can
Hell
borrow.
Hey, wait. Let's say goodbye and then we can
Yeah,
chat our shit.
Yeah, but this is also a video game podcast. Remember that.
Yeah, but we're 90 minutes in.
Hell yeah, we are. Okay,
Let's
guys.
just let people. Yeah, we're just letting the people know.
Goodbyes. Who says goodbyes? Go goodbyes.
Goodbye. Again, my name is Will. I'm a sad, but I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay now. The alcohol's kicked in, and I'm doing a bit better.
You're the happiest person I know. Fucking stop doing this for
We all
you.
know.
So weird. It's so Alex Jones here.
Oh my god, I'm in the Twilight Zone. The whole world's crazy.
No. Okay, Josh, you're goodbyes.
Yeah, I'm Josh. My handle's on like I don't know if you want to see me stream, which I never do at the moment. Maybe I'll start.
Oh, stop that! We'll get
I'm also
those
gonna-
things. We gotta have the things before you promote them.
No, I'm gonna promote them now. I'm gonna promote them. A future YouTube channel. I'm gonna make a YouTube channel when we hang up. And it's gonna be called Airnop. It's gonna be called Airnop. My digital handle, my internet handle is Airnop. That's AIRNOP.
TikTokers are gonna.
Hey, wait, we used to do a thing on the old show where we said one thing that we were doing each week,
Yeah,
whether it was a
that's what I
book or
thought.
movie or whatever.
Okay.
You wanna name one thing each?
Yes. Here, let me just go real quick. So I've been reading Michael K. Williams' autobiography, "Scenes from My Life." Rest in peace. Amazing. I'll when I'm walking around Brooklyn on the train, I'll read this, and so everybody just sees Michael K. Williams' face instead of mine, which looks a lot better than my face. I kind of look like him. I just need a scar. Look, I kind of have a forehead.
No.
You got soft like Zoomer skin.
Will, what are you doing reading things?
Was it still here? It's still here. The complete Sherlock Holmes.
Nice.
Going through a study in Scarlet. I'm right near the end. I've got the book open, and then I'm also doing the audiobook. So I'm reading and listening at the same time.
Nice.
And it's really nice because the audiobook is narrated by Stephen Fry. And so he's just got that classy British voice, very smooth and silky. And we're just going through it, me and Stephen and John Watson and our boy Sherlock. The first book has been pretty intense, pretty controversial, somewhat canceled book nowadays because it's debatably, not so debatably, anti-Mormon.
Wow.
It really treats the Mormons as a cult. Or like you can't escape the Mormons type deal.
Depends on who you ask.
And that winds up leading to a murder in London.
When was this put out? Like OG Sherlock Holmes, like fucking.
This is the first story. So this is like 1890.
1890. Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Nice.
It's awesome. Josh.
The book I've been reading, but like I haven't like done a lot of reading this week just because I've been like playing God of War and like, studying math and like, trying to get back into work.
Okay.
Like really what I've been doing is just like that and like working on like songs and shit. But the book I'm like still in the like I'm almost done with it honestly is Madness and Civilization by Foucault. I've been reading this for the longest time. It's about like the progression of like Western civilizations like perception and like treatment of like mental illness and like how it like even like how it began as like madness and like it was close to like this like mystical closeness to like an insane like truth that is like near godliness but like was like an affliction on people. It was like almost like seen as like a possessive state that was communicated well in like a lot of arts like Hieronymus Bosch or something like that, and then how it like progressed from that point to like being considered an ailment, like with like the advent of like medical science or like early medical science and then like early psychology, and like how like that like changes like the way we view each other, you know, and like the way that like early asylums were built like in like old hospitals for like old hospitals for like leprosy, right? And like how our early treatment of mentally ill people was like these like leper communities. Like we treated them as if like they were ill with something like contagious like leprosy, and like that like is a pivotal, like that historical fact is like an important like progressive step in our understanding of like even labeling something like madness as like mental illness and like thinking of it as an illness in the first place, like a medical condition. But it's been interesting, but it also fucking sucks, man.
It sounds a little like it sucks.
Yeah, Michel Foucault's an interesting one because he's super popular in modern philosophy, but he probably should be canceled.
Yeah,
They found out that he was
he's a pedophile.
Yeah, he's big into raping kids in the cemeteries.
Oh, that guy?
That guy, he's the
he was like a
guy. Yeah.
defender of like.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the dude that used to do the DJ sets in the UK, and he was doing some weird shit like that too. There's a lot of those people. People like to do that. It's weird, and that's what Josh is reading because Josh.
It's a weird one, man. Yeah.
All right, bros. Secondary education sign out. Can't wait to do it again. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Dear God.